They got you, don't you worry. If you were in a hurry, vibe with Kurre and Klapow. Kurre and Klapow, no matter how your day go, they got a fresh new show today. It's Kurre and Klapow. Whether you up north of Gardendale or down south past Vestavia, turn up your sound and listen well, cause we got something to say to you. Kurre and Klapow, they in the know. Their topics cover A to Z. So whether you drive fast or slow, just sit on back and feel the beat. Oh no! It's Kurre and Klapow.
Good morning, you little peeps out there. It's a Wednesday. It is the last Wednesday of 2021. It's Tony Kurre, the Kurre and Klapow Show. Dr. Josh will be back in 2022. I wish he was here today because we have a debate. We always have this debate about men and women on dates. I always say that men should always do this on dates. And he's like, no, they shouldn't. I'm like, yeah, they should. And now we find out that about 6,000 women agree with Tone the Bone. Thank you very much. We'll talk about that. Plus, we have some 2021 trends that we need to see go in 2022. And we remember the life and times of one John Madden. We'll get into it next here on Kurre and Klapow on Tony Kurre Radio. That and then some later on tonight on Tony Kurre Radio. It's a full hour of all Angus, all AC/DC. Getting ready for that world tour in 2022. We'll give you the latest details on that as soon as we find out. Should be soon. Later on tonight, 8 until 9 o'clock, exclusively on the Tony Kurre Radio app, brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing. For all your staffing needs, construction, you name it, they got you covered. Kai Gregory and the staff, they are banging it up, man. They're getting ready for 2022, and they're ready to take care of you. 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828, where your word and your handshake still means something, thank goodness. Special programs every single day. Monday was Dark Side of the Pooch Monday. I love that show. Dr. Rab Stewart and get after it, man. You think a pet show? Really? Listen to it. I promise you. I promise you'll like it. Noon and 8 on Mondays. Tuesday, Adapter Parish, who did it again yesterday afternoon on noon and the 8 o'clock hour. It's all about business adaptation. It was perfect. Not perfect that John Madden died, but John Madden was a master adapter. The guy could adapt anything in professional football, and that's why over a 10-year period, he's still got the best winning percentage of any coach in the National Football League with a minimum of 100 games. And, of course, that's why he's a Hall of Famer. We'll talk about him in a second. Livewire Wednesday later on tonight, brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828. Tomorrow night, Blues Almighty, a brand new show in the can. Cannot wait to hear Austin Hanks and the songs he picks tomorrow night from 8 until 9 o'clock. And then, of course, Damon Johnson. Top 6 songs that make him happy. Songs that make him want to celebrate, since that show is going to air on New Year's Eve, which is coming up on Friday night. We'll do that at noon and 8 coming up on Friday right here on Tony Kurre Radio. John Madden, interesting cat. Absolutely loved him as a coach. A lot of people don't realize he never played it down in professional football. He was actually drafted in the 21st round. That's when they used to have 21 rounds at least. And got banged up before he could actually play it down in 1958. And then, of course, became one of the youngest coaches at the age of 32 to get in the National Football League. And, of course, did that for just about 10 years. What's up, dog? Got my kid coming in here. Hold on. So let me put your shirt on here. This is what we do with Tony Kurre Radio. And we got things going on here in the radio program. Step forward there, sir. There you go. And I'll see you in a little bit, okay? All right, buddy. I love having my family come down during the show. It's so impromptu and so spontaneous. And then at the age of 32 became obviously a coach, and in 10 years the Raiders won a championship and a runner-up 5 times in the conference championship as well. What a lot of people don't realize is John Madden was a star. And that's the cool thing about what he did. He actually appeared also, and I saw the story this morning, and I'd totally forgotten about it. Me and Julio down by the schoolyard, the Paul Simon hit from 1972. He redid that song and actually did a video for it back in 1988, and John Madden was in the stinking video. The other thing that I think is super cool, and of course, that is EA Sports, and of course, the Maddens, and the one thing that we have to have every single year, it's a must that Santa Claus brings the latest and greatest. EA Sports Madden 22 is the one we got this year for my 17-year-old boy, and he absolutely loves that. And my son is a pretty doggone smart, and I make him go back and realize why we have the things we have today. I want him to be humble and realize the trailblazers that created all these wonderful things for him to enjoy, including Madden 22. Not just John Madden himself, but, of course, the fact that John Madden was John Madden before John Madden was the EA Sports John Madden. And I think a lot of kids probably get those video games, and they don't even know who the hell Madden is. They're like, who is this Madden cat? They realize the dude that's on the front of the Madden 22 set. But they don't even realize, they think Madden's some dude that created the, I'm like, no, that's John Madden, like the coach, like the all-time Hall of Fame coach. So pretty cool stuff. And, of course, he'll be longly missed. Always fun to watch. I like a lot of, I did sports for 20 years on radio. I've called several games myself. It's a very difficult to craft. It's an art. And while I have a lot of appreciation for a lot of the guys that call the games today, it's just not the same as it was. And I thought the tweet earlier yesterday, I forget who tweeted it out. Now Pat Summerall and John Madden can call Super Bowls in heaven. It's kind of deep, isn't it? Tony Kurre Radio on the Tony Kurre Radio app. Download Tony Kurre Radio app right now. It's free. Takes you about 5 or 10 seconds. Classic rock 24/7. And, of course, the tens of thousands of folks who have already downloaded the Tony Kurre Radio app realize that we've got some special programming that's killer. You just heard some AC/DC on the Tony Kurre Radio app, and you will hear that later on tonight from 8 until 9 o'clock. It is all AC/DC for an entire hour later on tonight, brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing. For all your staffing needs, Kai Gregory and his crew from construction, anything else, 205-682-2828. They're right here in Hoover, Alabama, but they serve the United States of America just like Tony Kurre Radio does, and, of course, we also serve the world. So we're super proud of that. Your word and your handshake still means something. Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828. My radio partner, Dr. Josh, has been off the last couple of weeks. He's over in the UK. He's visiting Big Ben today with his kid who's going to Oxford University. He'll be back in January. If he were here now, we'd be butting heads over the story that this Australian radio producer has thrown out, and I totally agree. Listen, there's a difference between being old and old-fashioned. I'm not old. I'm 55. I'm 35. 25 word counts. 35 in the brain. So I do old-fashioned things, particularly when it comes to dating. Now that I'm a single man again, I'm realizing I'm jumping back into this thing. I ain't changing my ways because I know it works. Men do the trash. Men cut the grass. Men do the driving. You ever be driving down 280 and you look over in a car and a woman's driving and a dude's sitting in the front seat? What do you think? He must be hungover or he's a wuss. One of the two. He's either hungover or he's a wuss. That's always weird to me, dude. Men do the driving. I'm not saying women can't drive. If you want to drive and you're like, I'm driving today, that's great. But for the most part, I think dudes are totally cool with the girls driving. Do you want to drive? Well, sure, I guess so. Dudes do the driving. We are providers. That's how we validate ourselves, right? And so we want to help you get from one spot to another. If she wants to drive, that's great. That's good. That's equal. I'm all about that. But it's amazing to me how many dudes want their girls to drive. We're the drivers, man. Yeah. And, of course, we always try to be great lovers as well. According to this gal, Jana Hawking, who's an Australian radio producer, she said she's 36. She's a columnist. She says, listen, she goes, if you do this on a first date, you ain't getting a second date. She's recalled occasions where she's gone out of her way to be lovely to guys, and she'll have a wonderful time, and then they won't offer to pay the bill on a first date. She said it's an instant turn off. There will not be a second date if they don't pay the bill. She said, I clearly remember being on a date with a guy I thought might turn into something special, but I really stared at my purse as the bill came and wouldn't even reach for his own until I had placed my card in the bill tray first. I knew it was over. It left a bad taste in my mouth. Would he always be like this, counting his penny and being a tight ass? She explained that men who are more assertive and instantly reach for their wallet at the end of a date prove they are willing to invest in the relationship. Now, if you're in a situation where maybe she asked him out and she insists, okay, I will still offer to pay. I will still take it. She says women look to men to be providers because it's basically in their DNA. It's not to say that women can't take care of themselves. Doesn't mean women can't pay. Doesn't mean they're not making more than men. It just means that guys need to step up and show the chivalry of it. I'm willing to invest in this relationship, particularly if you're the one asking. Now, if you're going Dutch, I'll meet you for a cup of coffee. I'm still going to offer. I'm always going to offer to pay. I'm always going to offer to pay. But if they insist or they ask me and it makes them feel special to say, hey, listen, I pay. And the other thing is, when a guy pays for the first date, he feels like he's probably going to get a second. If a girl pays for the first date, who knows what's going to happen. She pointed out that many ladies earn less money due to the gender wage gap, which isn't fair. Therefore, it makes sense for men to spoil them on dates. To back up her statement, Helen Fisher, a biological anthropologist and senior research fellow at the Kinsey Institute of Indiana University, Bloomington, explained that women want to know whether a man will spend his resources on her as it signals that he'll be able to provide for their young, if that ever happens. She said it doesn't have to be a fancy first date, doesn't have to be an expensive restaurant. She said some of my best first dates were like a couple of sandwiches in a park. She said there is one exception to the rule, though. Jenna says it's acceptable to split the bill if you know there won't be a second date. I'm telling you guys right now, man. Don't pull this. Don't do this. Listen, this whole gender equality thing, and I get it. It's true. We're equal. I get it. I understand all that stuff. But when it comes to dating, if dudes want to make a good first impression, you need to show that you're making an investment in that relationship. And if you're having a good time, then you always offer to pay. If you really want to be the man, you'll walk in, and if she's like asked you out, then you'll make sure that you see the waiter before you even sit down and say, listen, I got this. Bring me this check. But when the check sits on the table for 3 or 4 minutes, and then she's got to reach for a purse, what are you? You're that dude you're sitting shotgun with your wife or your girlfriend while she drives you up and down 280. Don't do that. 2021 trends. I love these end of the year lists. These are great because a lot of them I want to see go bye-bye. And these are the top 10 or top 15 2021 trends that need to go away in 2022, although I don't see NFTs going anywhere. The non-fungible tokens. They're a one-of-a-kind piece of digital content linked to blockchain that people can own. You can purchase an NFT of the first text ever sent, the Rockefeller Christmas tree. So what's the big deal? There isn't one. If you got the money to blow and you're just looking for something to throw your money at, NFTs are probably your way to go. Scarf tops. Now, this is probably where I'm a little old because I don't hang out with women that wear scarf tops, although I would like to. I have not seen one of these. I've seen pictures of scarf tops, but it's basically women who wear scarves as their top. The majority of the women I hang out with would have to get a pretty big scarf. It was all the rage this hot summer, but for the average-sized woman, it may be best poolside lounging, not midday brunch in the smoldering city heat in July. The meme stock. You heard of this? Sounds silly because it is. The founder of Dogecoin even made it a 2-hour joke. He was basically taking memes, which were inspired by, memes, and turning them into stock. And then he ended up selling his holdings years later. Now Dogecoin is the 6th most valuable cryptocurrency out there. Do you remember soaking? We talked about this on the Kurre and Klapow show. A Mormon teen took this idea and said that if you penetrate but you don't move, you're not really cheating. It's a loophole to the religious celibate lifestyle that Mormons, and evidently a lot of kids are doing this now. Heck, we called it dry humping. But soaking is when you just place it in there and you just sit there. And then if someone nudges the table, you're like, hey, now I wasn't planning on doing that now. That's considered not cheating. I remember this, the Alabama Rush Talk. Do you remember this? Hashtag Bama Rush TikTok. If you don't remember this, you're probably under a rock. As people were getting ready for Rush, people were hosting on TikTok at these forums. Would you like to go to Rush with me? Videos popped up. Haters of hashtag Bama Rush took over the tag, mocking the University of Alabama. Freshmen showing off their sorority recruitment outfits. In a totally serious video, one TikTok user and her friend shared their hashtag OOTD, otherwise known as Outfits of the Day. And because the joke video is taking over everyone's feed, one user commented, I can't even tell if these are real anymore. People were making fun of the Alabama Rush Talk. That's pretty funny. GameStop. We hope this doesn't go. This just ought to tell you how fragile the stock market is. And by the way, it set another record yesterday. The S&P did. GameStop stock surged in January, baffling hedge fund bros everywhere after a Reddit thread took the stock to the moon. Big-name investors began buying shares of GameStop. The Reddit chat forum Wall Street Bets, who are self-proclaimed degenerates, confused Wall Street firms who shorted the company along with AMC, the movie theater chain. And, of course, if you didn't get out in time, your stock plummeted, and GameStop went right back to where it was about 3 months later. Joe Byron, do you remember him? The chaotic bing bong sound brought to life by people at Coney Islands by the popular YouTube channel Side Talk, circulated for the final months of 2021. While the sound's ridiculous, the love for Joe Byron guy isn't. He's actually a homeless man named TJ who has been picked up by fan accounts anywhere now. They have a GoFundMe page which has raised roughly $30,000, and along with it came online stardom for TJ. Saying blonde is choogy. Bad news for blondes everywhere this year. Gen Z declaring blonde choogy. Choogy, a term which means uncool, outdated, or just not good at all. Spawned in 2021, and while some things declared as choogy just speak to the changing fashion trends, we're looking at you skinny jeans and side parts. Denouncing the entire color of hair seems far-fetched. Evidently, a lot of women who were blonde decided to go brunette in 2021, more so than in any other year in history. Don't do that. Don't do that. Blonde always rules. Blondes always still have fun. We love blondes. Lube as primer. This makeup trick is too slick. Amateur beauty gurus on TikTok took the platform by storm to show off their latest hack, namely TikToker Rady gained traction online while using Durex lube to set a base for her foundation because of its slick nature due to the, glycol? It creates a seamless makeup finish, but a potentially sticky cost, and yes, it burns your skin. Celebrity doppelgangers, we saw a bunch of those. People think they look like other stars, and they really don't. Instagram story stickers. This was something that Instagram actually tried out, and I remember there was one particular story on a pet source, a platform, where they said for every Instagram story you stick, we'll plant a tree. They got 4 million stickers in about 3 minutes, and they're like, we can't plant 4 million trees. That ain't going to be happening. The Urban Dictionary name trend, which is something we actually did on our show. The Dry Scoop Challenge. You know what I'm talking about here? It's one of the internet's craziest challenges here. Doctors warn against the Dry Scoop Challenge on TikTok due to possible heart attacks. It involves swallowing a heaping spoonful of pre-workout powder followed by a sip of water before hitting the gym. After one influencer succumbed to a fatal heart attack because of the trend, parents and medical experts worried about young people participating in the online craze. Squid Game trends. I'm not into the Squid Game thing, but I have seen some things about it. The Backyardigans are back. The viral TikTok sounds featuring sound clips from Nick Jr.'s show, The Backyardigans, Castaways, and Into the Thick of It. Kids 16 and up are all about that. The Milk Crate Challenge. I saw something the other day where a dude was walking, Sam Russian, good morning to you, where dudes are walking on milk crates in floodwater. Actually worked pretty well. We've seen that. And finally, the final challenge, or the final thing, the trend in 2021 was called rubbing your tongue. And then in this NSFW trend, women on TikTok rub the underside of their tongue with one finger after being told it feels like male genitalia. I don't get it. I didn't feel like it. if a woman is doing the rubbing her tongue challenge, where she's actually feeling the underside of her tongue and she thinks that's what male genitalia feel like, you haven't been around male genitalia for a long time. First of all, I hope it's a lot bigger than my tongue, especially if you can do the loop-de-loop, though. That thing there. Stanley Knight, good morning to you. If you can do the loop-de-loop. But if women really want to know what the male genitalia feel like, then feel a male genitalia. I'll just tell you that. You don't have to do anything with it. I'll just let you know how it feels. That's all you got to do. A really interesting story that came out yesterday about the Eagles. They were asked the question if, in fact, they were writing new material. Don Henley said, we're not really doing that. It's not to say that something won't pop in my head, but we're not actively writing new material for any new albums. To which Vince Gill had something to say, and this is not the first time. I love Vince Gill. I've met Vince Gill numerous times. I've met his lovely bride, Amy Grant. They are like salt of the earth, super, super nice people. And Vince Gill is one hell of a guitar player. Dude has got a great voice. Go back to the PPL days, and certainly from a solo standpoint, he was asked to play with Mark Knopfler in Dire Straits before they had the Brothers in Arms album out, which obviously would have taken him to stardom, but he did that on his own. And he really said, listen, I really appreciate the opportunity to play with Dire Straits. He said, but I wanted to prove to myself that I could do this. He was living up in some dude's attic. And so he has repeatedly come out and mentioned that a lot of Eagles fans who seem pretty even keel to me, right? Eagles fans aren't like out there right or left. They're just down the middle of the road. They just want to listen to some great Eagles music, right? Am I wrong here? Evidently, he's getting a lot of backlash for playing with the Eagles because some Eagles fans believe that he's taking over for Glenn Frey, which obviously he's not. And second of all, if he thinks that he's trying to fill these, he's like, listen, I'm not trying to play for Glenn. I'm not trying to sing for Glenn. I'm not taking over for Glenn. There was a need in the band. Don asked me to play. It seemed like a wonderful thing to do. I love the Eagles, and so I'm playing. But evidently, every time he talked to Vince Gill, he brings up this backlash, and I don't know where it's coming from. I haven't heard that, but obviously it's true. So Don recently, and they're going to go back on the road in February to continue their world tour. Don asked Vince, hey, how would you like to play some of your solo songs in the set, which I think would be great. I love Vince Gill. I love could you imagine the Eagles doing, Amy from Pure Prairie League? How cool would that be? To which Vince said, listen, I really don't want to shake the cage anymore. I don't want people to think that I know people are here to see the Eagles. I know there's a fervent feeling that people just want to listen to the Eagles music, and I am just going along for the ride. Much like, Damon Johnson doing with Leonard Skinner. Although Damon Johnson is going to play Stubborn to Get Ready. He's going to play Brother Kane. He's going to get after it. If they offer you to play, you do it. Vince Gill, obviously, meteoric. He's unbelievable. But I don't really understand it. But he's like, listen, I appreciate the opportunity to play my music, but I really just want to stick to the Eagles stuff, which I thought was really interesting. There's some Glenn Frey right there called Party Town. Austin Hanks, who's a good friend of mine, played in Slick Lily. He has played with just some absolute monsters right now. He's in Billy F. Gibbons' Big Bad Blues Band. He's written songs for ZZ Top. And, of course, he celebrated the life and times of one Dusty Hill who passed away in this calendar year of 2021. He does a show right here on Tony Kurre Radio every Thursday night, tomorrow night. It's at 8 o'clock. We also played at noon. So at noon and 8, you'll get a full hour of Austin Hanks and only how he does Blues Almighty. It's a fantastic show. A brand new show is in the can. You're going to love it. It goes up tomorrow at noon and 8 Central. Tony Kurre Radio. It is the Tony Kurre Radio app. Thanks to tens of thousands of folks who've already downloaded the Tony Kurre Radio app, and now we're getting this brand new onslaught of listeners because of all these wonderful programs we're doing at noon and 8 every Monday through Friday. Blues Almighty, the Damon Johnson Show, the Live Wire Wednesday we got going on. We couldn't do it without our great partnerships. The club at Lakeview. Chris Creek's been a good friend of mine, one of our investors in our company a couple of years ago. He is salt of the earth. He's a great guy. He's got himself a little baby girl in 2021, Stella. But go up to the club at Lakeview, and the weather is going to be a little nasty today. But, man, it's been warm, and it's supposed to get cold and warm again. Get out and play golf. 24 hours a day. They play night golf up there. They have a 9-hole golf course. You can play it twice to get an 18-hole score. They have a great golfer's lounge. The food is fantastic. And, yes, it's a private membership. It's as low as $100 a month, so it's not going to cost you. You could say you're a private member at a country club. He said everyone should have the opportunity to do that. And it's God's country, man. It's in McCall. It's about 20 miles north of Birmingham. It's beautiful. As soon as you get off the exit, you're like, this is my kind of place. I love it. I take my kids up there all the time. We go up there to go swimming in their pool. Labor Day, Memorial Day. If it's hot enough to swim, the pool is open. Check out the Club at Lakeview, their Facebook page, theclubatlakeview.com, 477-6125, 477-6125. How old do you want to live? I think the majority, I think it's like, 75 for guys and 76, 77 for women. I think for the most part, when someone loses their life, certainly in their 60s is too early. 70s are like, maybe they were doing some things they probably shouldn't have been. Maybe they had diabetes. I don't know whatever. People do die of natural causes in their 70s. And when you make it to 80s, you're like, oh, they must have lived a pretty good life. 82, 83, 84, 85, they must have done a little extra. Probably forgiving individual, try to find the bright side of things, have a positive outlook in life. Betty White is going to turn 100 coming up here on January 17th. She's like, I'm a positive person. That's what's got me through a lot of things. I don't stress out, and stress will kill you. Then if you get into your 90s, you're like, you want to know the secrets. You're like, okay, what's the secret to living to be a 90? My grandfather lived to be 92, smoked cigars and drank martinis all day. He's like, I was happy. And watched Wheel of Fortune every day at 6:30. It was good. He absolutely loved life, and he found the positives. He always had a snarky little thing. You throw a question, he always had something to bite back on. It was great. Then you get to that 100 thing, and then you're like, wow, that's amazing. When you get the triple digits, it's amazing. A woman yesterday evidently died, and she was 135 years old. Now, the Guinness Book of World Records is trying to go back because of some of the affiliations she had with other organizations, because she was born like in 1886. She was married in 1903 till 1976. They're saying it is possible that she could have lived to be 135, but they're trying to find out because there's 22 years lost somewhere in there. But still, it's amazing. This would top the current record. That would be the oldest any human beings ever lived. Janine Calment, who passed away in 1997 at 122 years old, is the oldest living human being ever if they can't prove this woman lived to be 135. So researchers wanted to know just how old we really can live. If everything is perfect, you have the right outlook on life, and obviously when you have challenges in life, that's years building, man. You know, no one's got it perfect. It's life. Life is hard. Things are going to happen to you that you don't expect, things that you didn't create. It's going to happen. People are going to die. You're going to have a heartbreak. You're going to go through all those things. But if you have the right regimen, you have the right DNA, it's a pre-genetic disposition. Long life runs through families. If your mom and dad lived to be the 90s, you'll probably live to be 90s as well. Using an iPhone app and a huge amount of medical data from volunteers in the UK and US, scientists think they've confirmed the maximum age people can anticipate ever living to. According to the Journal of Nature Communications, artificial intelligence analyzed the health and fitness-related information, and researchers determined that human lifespans is most significantly based on two data points: biological age, it's associated with stress, lifestyle, and chronic diseases, and resilience, how quickly the person returns to normal after responding to a stressor. If you get over something real quick and you deal with it and you don't have resentments, you'll live. Using these findings and related trends, researchers reckon that around 120 to 150, the human body shows a complete loss of resilience, resulting in inability to recover. So it's not even whether you want to be resilient. Your body just can't do it on its own. Your brain doesn't function that way. As we more and more time is required to recover after perturbation, on average, we spend less and less time to close the optimal psychological stage. So they're saying that the average human being, well, not the average, but a human being could typically live to be about 150. We have not seen that. If that woman lived to be 135, can you imagine? Now, if you knew you were going to live to be 135 years of age and you're 100 and you feel like crap and you're pooping your pants and people are changing your diapers, it would be horrible. I know a lot of people that are older than I am. They're at the age now where, like, when God's taking me, I'm good. That's a beautiful thing. When you've gotten that point where you don't fear death anymore and you're like, hey, listen, I've done everything I can on this earth. I don't know why God's keeping me around, but my father-in-law's like that, my ex-father-in-law. He's like 85, 86. He's like, hey, when God's ready to take me, he's been in a wheelchair for 30 years. When God's ready to take me, I'm good to go. That's a wonderful thing. But I'm thinking, if I can live, if I'm healthy and I'm not being a burden, I want to live to be 130 years old if I'm sitting in a nursing home. Not to say that nursing homes couldn't be great. This place down the street where Nick Saban's mother is, and that place is rocking. It's like a med spa or something. It's unbelievable. And obviously, the longer you live, the less you can work, typically. Betty White's still getting after it at 99. So are you being a burden on society? I hate to say that because old people can't control whether they're going to live or not. They're just living. But they're lived, they're loved, grandkids, this 135-year-old had like 43 great-great-great-grandchildren. Go figure, man. It's great stuff. How long do you want to live? We always want to live longer, but do you want to live that long to be 135 years of age? I don't think so. Jeff Lynne of ELO came out with this huge tour about 15, 20 years ago, and no one bit. And I don't understand why they didn't. Maybe they thought that the music just would not sound as good on stage as it does on the phonograph, on the album, but I would strongly disagree. He's back on the road. If you go to jefflynne.com or just pull up Jeff Lynne on our tour page at TonyCurryRadio.net, you can find all the details. Coming up later on tonight here on Tony Kurre Radio, it's Live Wire Wednesday. It's a full hour of AC/DC. We have about 40-something thousand people listening in Australia every Wednesday night. We greatly appreciate that. We have that equally here in the United States of America. They love their AC/DC as well. Brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing. Get after it, 682-2828, 205-682-2828 for all your staffing needs. It's Southern Precision Staffing. Couldn't do without our great sponsors, too, including, of course, the Woodhouse Day Spa right there next to Saks in the Summit. They do a wonderful job. Check out WoodhouseDaySpa.Birmingham, Woodhouse Day Spa/Birmingham, should I say, and check out some wonderful deals they got there. I talked to Stuart Rome, and we're going to be doing a show with Stuart coming up in January of 2022. So we're super excited about that. And, of course, special thanks to all of our partnerships we have here on Tony Kurre Radio. We play a ton of classic rock. If you're used to hearing 6 and 7 minute stop sets of commercials, you don't get it around here, man. We got you covered up.